What is something you genuinely believe but can't share in polite company? I think people should have to take a test before procreating but understand how that would be misused. Humans are idiots, polite company gets very offended. A person is smart. People are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals, and you know it. This is a pretty unpopular opinion in the metal community, but I think their newer stuff is better, and by they I mean like 90 of bands who have been around for a while and people seem to think have gone to shit. Polite company? Scoff snort. I can even share it on Reddit without downvotes and hate messages. I will 100 use the pronoun of your choice. But I think some young people, teens, want a different pronoun for attention. I know there are some young people who question their birth gender and sexuality. But I believe for some, it's a passing phase for attention. I'm speaking from personal experience with my niece. Some people are just too destructive and costly for society and should be removed rather than reformed as a preemptive measure. Not really a belief, but U2 is my favorite band, no surprise with my username. After the whole iTunes debacle, I can't admit it out loud without flinching. Certain members of the top 1 have knowingly and willingly inflicted unimaginable suffering upon the majority of the population and could have stopped at any time. Their crimes demand fates worse than death. Most people don't actually want to have and raise children, they just tell themselves that to deal with it. Autism has always existed. Those children are very difficult to raise and to keep safe. They previously died early. Several months ago, I responded to a post simply saying extremists exist on both sides of the political aisle and got reported, and Reddit sent me information to a crisis hotline. Received a long DM saying all sort of things about how to get help if I'm in a crisis or wanting to hurt myself. This place is clown world sometimes, smiley face, smiley face. We as humanity stand no chance. We will not be able to achieve a decent life standard for the majority of people, and we will eventually get ourselves killed. I'm not a parent, but I know a bad parent or bad parenting when I see it, and me not being a parent is not bearing on whether or not I get an opinion about that. Everyone hates hearing it, polite or no, but very few people are successful because they deserve it. Luck plays a majority role in everything in life. Everything. Period. Some people may have been smart or worked hard. Most really didn't. They just like to tell themselves that they did. I love the first 3 Michael Bay Transformers movies. It's my favorite movie trilogy, and Revenge of the Fallen is my favorite movie out of them. I believe everyone on this planet is entitled to food, medicine, and shelter. We have enough resources for this to happen. People just don't want it to. I don't care if it's alive or not, if it needs an unwilling person's body to survive, it can go ahead and die. Most neurodivergent people are not actually neurodivergent, and it isn't all that common. They're just mistaking any kind of discomfort or awkwardness as symptoms of a mental illness when they're actually just experiencing normal, human emotions and behavior, and using it as an excuse to either feel special or to avoid accountability for improving themselves. A good 30-40 of the people we live with are basically Nazis just waiting to happen. By that I mean, with the right leader or right political climate, they would gleefully commit or passively endorse genocidal atrocities. Humanity is a dead species walking. We have extremely low genetic diversity, we are destroying the environment, we are poisoning ourselves with chemicals, fertility rates are dropping, and by some measures our intelligence is dropping. We are headed toward extinction. I got banned from retirement, or was it poverty, one of those, for this remark, but if you didn't vote for Obama either time, you should not morally accept take pay for Obamacare ACA health insurance, but should instead be a person of principle and pay your medical bills out of your pocket. If you and or I were in their shoes, we'd both do the same, but applied to life. Where we're born, who we're around, how we're raised is everything. From day one, and especially in our earliest years of life, every bit of our environment is shaping us. We all generally know this is true, but I don't think most people understand the depth implications these things really have. The United States as a country is not going to be a long-lasting one. We are too geographically large that you don't have to love or interact with people just because they're family, if they're an asshole. I didn't pick them to be near me, and I don't like them or find them annoying stupid, so I don't visit or hang out with them. Just because someone didn't love you back and treated you poorly does not necessarily mean they're a narcissist or a gaslighter. The Super Mario Bros. 1993 was only bad in the sense that it has nothing to do with Mario. But as an early 90s kids comedy, the acting is fine, and the comedy lands. IVF is a waste of money, and the money would be better spent improving the lives of children already here. I find it really fucking scary how people are willing to prioritize an unborn fetus over an independently living human being. Nobody knows how others feel, and you don't usually understand it either, You just pretend you really do. I believe in ghosts. I do think a lot of ghost sighting can be explained away within reason. Old creaky house is just an old creaky house. But I do believe that ghosts are real. Forced sterilization isn't such a bad idea. Implementation would of course be problematic. But really, certain people shouldn't breed. That all Trump supporters are either people who are making massive amounts of money off of his policies and don't care how much he lies as long as they get their money, or B, people so very stupid, uneducated, racist that they believe all of his lies because they fit their narrative. Autism is some weird form of evolution. It makes sense to evolve into not needing socialization and being okay kinda secluded. Focus can also be better. Also, I am talking about high-functioning autism. I'm autistic and have worked with autistic kids. The society we live in is meant to put us down. The means of production should belong to the people who make those products. We can't keep living the way we do, letting billionaires control all products. Being an avid reader doesn't make you smart. You can read The Hunger Games and 50 Shades all you want, but it didn't do anything for you. I don't like not being able to identify if someone is male or female because I don't want to cause someone to be offended, so I just avoid the gray area people altogether. That there's really no point in continuously bringing people here to live, suffer and die if there's nothing after this. I feel like a lot of the new genders and neopronouns are signs of mental issues and aren't rooted in reality. I believe violence is absolutely a necessary and valid response to certain things. I feel this way for interpersonal and larger scale societal issues. Some folks won't change unless they get punched in the mouth. I don't think most people think this though. Crying face. You should be able to pass a basic tech skills class to get virtually any job. Computers are commonplace at almost any job in modern times, but people can still use "I'm not good with computers" excuse when computers have been around for decades. The only true way to fix the US problems is to take care of its politicians, whether that be by voter force. Sometimes technology and services should go down so people are forced to slow down and smell the roses and walk everywhere. That most problems would be solved for so many people if they only realized they're addicted to attention. You can love the animals you keep and also not be bothered about them dying. A lot of people keep chickens and do care about them. They also like chicken. When people get divorced, discussing their spouse in the presence of the children should be off limits. That men who make a certain amount of money will cheat on their wives even if it's like super rare on occasion they do. Most books should be blogs, most blogs should be tweets, and most tweets should never have been written. Some people shouldn't have kids, both due to a lack of ability to parent but also certain genetic conditions. For instance, I'm type 1 diabetic and don't want to bring someone into the world who has to worry about this shit. Problem is, who tells people they can't have kids? The government? Hell no. Daily showers are mostly unnecessary for house office workers with low activity and conditioned spaces. When I'm not working out or exerting myself, I won't shower but every 2 days. Do not necessary. This generation's use of pronouns gender is just kids going through puberty like we all did. They just have more terms to define themselves and feel that they need to fit in. Expecting people to remember your gender or pronouns on a day-to-day basis is the height of privilege. Religion is for people who are insecure and just can't accept that there's no way for us to know some answers to the unanswerable questions. Why do you need to comfort yourself with whatever story about why bad things happen to good people? Because you're uncomfortable with "there's no reason" or "we don't know" is the answer, which is a sign of immaturity. People who think the world is an awful place, yet still want children, are stupid fucking people. I believe in pretty conservative values, but I refrain saying anything about it to my friends and even some family members, because I really value them as people. We live in such politically charged times, I actually fear them knowing my beliefs would change our relationships. So I've just decided to pretend to agree with everyone. It's a small sacrifice for the people I care about. Men's underwear is secretly embedded with tracking chips so that extraterrestrials can monitor where and how we poop. Some people with some disabilities are a waste of money, time and energy and should probably not be kept alive. Edit: this is purely from a logical viewpoint. That our immigration policy needs an update. The current one has too many loopholes and shitty people know how to take advantage of that. I want everybody to have a good life, but let's find a better way for people to actually come here in a legal way. I don't believe they are taking our jobs crap, but I do believe it puts a lot of economic pressures on our economy and it hurts the country. Leadership positions within all major religions are such psychopath magnets that I don't trust any major religions for spiritual advice, and I'm afraid of attending any kind of regular worship. People who can afford IVF can afford to adopt. If you can afford to adopt and you want kids, then you should adopt. There are plenty of kids out there that need loving homes with people who want to be parents. Also, I hate kids. I've shared all of this plenty on Reddit, but it just feels good to type it out. You're very stupid if you cling to either side of the political spectrum. I get called a coward for not picking a side and remaining neutral. Every few hundred years we need to execute the assholes who have navigated themselves into the ruling class politicians, heads of big religions and ultra-rich. They need to know the common folk hold the real power. Guess what time it is? Trans people will never be their chosen gender. They'll always be a trans man or trans woman. But not a man or woman. That's okay, but that's the reality. I don't respect your religion. As far as I'm concerned, if you need an invisible sky daddy to tell you not to be a piece of shit, you are a piece of shit. Regardless of the amount of bullshittery, religion should be respected. I'm Shinto and even I find parts of my religion BS. Well, there are a lot of things I believe in, but yeah, with the Reddit mob and speech stifling current state of society, I'd rather not. It's perfectly fine for a guy to decide he's a she. It's also perfectly fine for me to think they're weird as fuck and need help. Although marijuana is not as dangerous as alcohol, you still should not take it so much, not in front of anyone who cannot be near children, for example. I hold very strongly to these and it ruffles a lot of older adults' feathers, but emo. Blood does not make family. You shouldn't be expected to blindly respect someone just because they're old. Your parents should not be doing whatever they want with you just because they're your parents, and they should treat you like an actual person regardless of your age.